Okay, well, I said I was going to keep it short, and then I loaded up my editing software, and it was 10 minutes long. Uh, I just woke up. I apologize. So I'm going to try and make this about 5 or 6 minutes this time, and I'm going to go through it quickly as possible. Essentially, if you want kind of the TLDR, the Viggen, it's going to be very good, but it lacks countermeasures. And at a time in War Thunder where countermeasures kind of are a necessity now, it's going to struggle. So the Viggen is going to be able to carry, essentially, two RB-71s, which are more advanced Sparrows. They're called Sky Flashes, as you can see them right there. It's going to be able to carry at most 4 RB-24Js. So it will stock grind with AIM-9Bs, but it will get AIM-9J/Ps as its upgrade. So thankfully, it will be somewhat potent in terms of missile count. However, again, this is the first JA-37, so I was looking on Wikipedia. And I know it's Wikipedia, but it's the best I'm going to go with without really digging for anything right now. It essentially is this version right here. Primary single-seat all-weather interceptor with secondary attack role, which is kind of what we see. It says LD/SD. I believe this is supposed to have a pulse Doppler. For those of you that know, today is the day that they're going to be streaming the kind of the dev server, like the update sneak peek/preview. And Mike was already kind of messing around with it, and so far it doesn't seem to have its pulse Doppler radar modeled. I know that the AJS, which is a later 90s variant, has a pretty decent radar for the time. So again, I don't know if this is going to have a pulse Doppler. It does have an ECM mode from what I've been told, so that's nice. But again, we're just going to have to wait and see for like an actual proper dev server, because Gaijin might not be finished, and that's usually kind of what they do. I mean, the F5E's one aileron is still isn't modeled today, but anyways, I digress. So essentially, the Viggen will be really good at going fast on the deck and at altitude. It's a very fast aircraft. From my knowledge of it in DCS with the JA-37, which is a later variant, they're really damn fast light aircraft. So the Viggen will enjoy having really good performance, and I think really good players will be able to take advantage of that. But again, it lacks countermeasures, and its ground strike capability is limited. Still kind of waiting on a proper ground attack Draken, so we don't have to rely on this, or a ground attack version of the Viggen, which can carry a couple of different ordinances. But things like guided clustering munitions, like the Mjolnir bombs that I know and familiar with in the AJS-37, if they're going to crash, DCS or cause FPS lag in DCS, in War Thunder, they would just overload the game and overload the server. So things like that, we might not ever see them in War Thunder, simply because the engine might not be able to handle it. But again, never say never when it comes to Gaijin. So again, this is just going to mainly be a fighter. In ground RB, though, it gets these heat warhead rockets in a rocket pod versus on the Draken, which has them just on the wings. You can even see them here for this J-35A premium, which I'll get to in a moment. But yeah, so the Viggen essentially just won't have flares and chaff. I know that they're supposed to carry them on a pod. At least the AJS carried it in a pod with a jammer, and that might be why Gaijin kind of hasn't modeled it yet. But the later version, the JA-37D, I believe, is supposed to have inbuilt countermeasures right here near the reverse thrust kind of mechanism back here. Speaking of which, it can reverse thrust in the air right now. However, I'm assuming Gaijin is going to end up fixing that, because the way that it works is you pull like a lever or something. You pull on the switch and twist it, and essentially when the main gears touch the ground, this computer tells it that you're on the ground. And the main gears, once they're on the ground solid, not just bouncing, it will engage the thrust reverse, which you can see in this picture there, allowing it to stop very, very quickly. And if they model its brakes to be really strong, the Viggen will literally be able to land like practically anywhere. And you might, if you're good enough, you might even be able to get it to land on a helipad runway. So, But yeah, for the Viggen, it's not amazing in terms of it being kind of having the whole package, but it will not be dead on arrival, at least for me. Flares aren't really a problem. I've played the Draken. I'm kind of familiar with that, although the Draken is 10.3, and the Starfighter, the F-104S, which, by the way, is going to get nerfed because some historical perfectionist decided to report and remind them that the F-104S doesn't have a gun when it takes sparrows. So yeah, the F-104S is going to get a fat nerf. So thanks, bud. But yeah, it's not going to be amazing. It's not going to be done on arrival. Works enough for me. Hopefully we'll see a later version with inboard flares. And for the most part, it probably will be a balancing factor at the very least for it to not get a countermeasure pod. So, yeah. Oh, last thing before we go. Do not buy this until you see what it has, because something is telling me it's only going to have AIM-9Bs, which means it's going to suck. If it's like a 10.0, 9.7 though, because it has a weaker engine than the J-35D, then I would consider you might want to buy this to grind the Viggen and grind the Swedish Air Tree. Otherwise, just having AIM-9Bs, having no countermeasures, and possibly facing really, really good opponents means that this thing might not be worth it. So again, before you pre-order this, wait and see for the dev server, wait and see what it gets. If it only gets AIM-9Bs, I would strongly advise you don't even bother getting it, and you get the SAB 105 instead, and just use that cheekily with the RB05As, which I have a tutorial somewhere on YouTube in one of my playlists that you will be able to find on how to guide those. Now, they've actually corrected them, so the missile control is not inverted, but yeah, again, if this only gets AIM-9Bs, I would highly advise maybe not picking this up. If it gets different ground ordnance, then it'll be different. But again, before I ramble on any longer and I make this another like 20-minute video, that's pretty much it for me. As always, I will put the Devblog link in the description to read all of this stuff. And if you know anything about the Viggens and their variants, please leave something in the comments so we can kind of understand what we're dealing with here. But anyways, guys, as always, I'm Steel Wolf, and I'll see you guys next time.